Ping pong! Welcome to another Geeks at Sea. It is a wonderful Friday night, and joining me here tonight is Nerv. Hi, Say hi to everyone, Nerv.
Hello, everyone. Nice meeting everyone.
Yeah, it is. It is always a weird one when I do one of these with a friend as old as Nerv, because we've gone
What?
like God knows how long. How long have we known each other, man? Like, it's at least
20
20
years?
years. I think it's been 20 years.
Yeah, it should be around 20 years, 20 plus probably.
Yeah. God damn it. Yeah. It's weird, it's awkward because at some level you don't know how you should be interviewing a friend. Especially when you're this close, and how much of that story is like, oh, how much do you know, how much you don't, and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. You just ask questions and you assume that you don't know all these things.
Exactly. All right. Anyways, okay, before we really dive deep into everything, let me just, for the benefit of anyone who's ever who's joining us for the first time, this segment that you're going to be watching here is called Geeks at Sea. It's where we basically we gorge down on nostalgia berries and talk about the good old days back long time ago, and how we start our journey down like our geek fandoms and everything else, and how it's led up to what it is and all that kind of stuff. Everyone who comes in here who I chat with are in one way or another somewhat related to uh, 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 the sort of the ACG scene, animation, comics, and game scene. Otherwise, have been around for such a long time that they hold a very unique perspective towards it. The whole point of this whole series of shows is really just to get story on recording, where we share about our experiences growing up with our geekdoms and our fandoms and whatever else there is. Because the fact is, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things are not as recorded as they will, and we're all growing old. So before we forget everything, let's get it up here, on record and stuff like that. All right. So in the spirit of exactly, because hey, I want to be very clear with this one. Like, the fact of the matter is that those, as they say, right, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. So we have to know how we got here and all that kind of stuff, right? So this is where all these stories come in. With that said, I want to put it out there real quick for those who like standard disclaimers. Number one, we're going to be sharing a lot of personal stories from here, and they are stories that are like what we went through and what we were thinking and what we were like the situation as we saw it at the time. So what that means is that you have to take everything we say with a huge grain of salt. Okay, so basically, remember, we are unreliable narrators. We're talking about stories that are at least 10 to 15, if not 20 or 30 or even 40 years older. Old, that kind of thing. I mean, I think if it hits 40, we probably don't have any memories of that, but like that's not the point. But yeah, so we're talking about that kind of period of time. So our memories are going to be faulty. We're not going to be, 100% on it. If we don't have documented stuff to show you guys, please assume that there is a good chance that we might be wrong, right? Colored memories, impressions, yada yada. You know the drill. That's number one. Number two, we're also going to be talking a lot about all of these stories are our personal stories. So while some of us, especially between me and Nerv, we have been involved in so many different organizations and entities that have been a part of the scenes here in Malaysia. It's going to sound like we are speaking on behalf of those organizations, and I want to flag out that we're not. The stories that we're going to talk about are just purely our own perspectives, and we might say, oh yeah, I like this, I like that, or I prefer this, I prefer that. Always understand that they are not representative of the entities that we were a part of. They are our personal impressions and our own personal wants and desires or whatever else there is. If you worked with a committee, if you worked with an organization before, please understand that these are always done, in consensus. So they should not be treated as reflective of the thoughts or the will of the organizations that we're a part of, right? So standard disclaimer done. All right. Yep. So yeah. All right. So we've just started, and Raz has already dropped in with a wonderful question. I'm just going to leave it there in the comments for now. I actually, give me a second, yeah? I actually forgot one small thing. Let me just do this real quick for everybody. So the fact is, I've been doing this for about 8 weeks, and usually most people rarely catch me live. Like, very few people actually catch the show live. I've had people who come in, watch it after, because I don't know, maybe it's a timing thing. Everyone's Fridays, everyone likes to game on Fridays or something. Like, oh yeah, no, this is not what I want to listen to on a Friday night. But nevertheless, it's the standard time that I have. So what happens is that I've actually had a question link last time in the comment section, and I've sort of removed it. Or otherwise, I just kind of forgot to put it in. I'm going to add it right now, since there are a couple of people who are interested in asking Nerv some questions right now. I'm just going to add it in so that you guys can add it in, and I'll bring it up later. Give me a short while. It really is. It's a timing thing, right? Yeah, it's definitely a timing thing, right? Just give me a short while. I will put in a link. Where is my... Oh, no. Okay.
What did Russ ask?
It is about your name. Where do you get the name from?
Oh.
But we'll go into that a little bit. But in any case, I've added the link to the questionnaire. You can check it out there. It's in the comment section right now. If you just refresh, I'm quite sure it should be there. Just drop a question there, and we will get to it towards the end. All right. So let's start. Let's start with the most basic of all questions. So Nerf, I want to know. This is the big question. I personally want to know. Like, you're 2 years older than me. You grew up in Penang. I am very, very curious. What was the first geekdom that you got into, and what was it? Like, what really got? Was there one in particular that you remember? What was your first point of contact for like things like animation, comics, and games and stuff like that?
That time should be comic, I think. Main thing I get introduced to comic in barber shops where there are old Master Q and Doraemon in the barber shops, just to keep the kids busy. It's like nowadays the parents keeps the kids with the iPad, and last time is comic books. So that's the time that I start reading.
Right.
So if you
Right.
talk about geekdom, probably you're mentioning about like manga, Japanese manga. So if you talk about first manga, would be Doraemon, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, Doraemon. So
How
after
old were you back then?
Doraemon,
Like,
how old? I think I can't read words, so probably before I go to school.
so you're like 5 at that time?
I think around
no
4
gauge,
or
by the way.
5, yeah. But 5 means I already start recognizing words, so means maybe younger than that.
So
Then
right. So when you were 4, basically, when you were 4, you were really like flipping through Lao Zi and Doraemon and all this kind of stuff.
yeah, that's our only entertainment.
Wow.
So we're not allowed to look at TV. TV is a luxury for me last time. So there's no other entertainment than like playing like physical games and comic books. Yeah.
Right.
So after that, probably closest one should be Dragon Ball, the next manga that I take up. So I think that was around my primary school days.
What was that, like the 90s at this point?
90s, yeah, 92 if not mistaken. 1992, yeah. There are a lot of pirated mangas during that time. I think Dragon Ball like become a super hit. So there are a lot of other mangas also renamed themselves related to Dragon Ball.
Oh, really? What's that?
Yeah, I remember that time got this what's the comic release? Suddenly can't remember the name. It's done by the Conan artist one, Detective Conan. So that was before Detective Conan. It's about the boy with the sword, and then you can insert
And which you're talking about?
the ball inside their weapon, and then they change the weapon's attribute.
Oh shit! I don't. So I think I've seen a cover for that. I have no impression of what it's called.
It should be Yaiba, if not mistaken.
Is it Yaiba?
Yes, Yaiba. Yes,
Okay,
correct.
Cool.
YIBA. Yeah, I recently they are going to reanimate it.
Right.
I
I think I heard like they were redoing something, and I can't remember what it was, but I could swear they were redoing something.
Yeah, Yaiba. So the time I read Dragon Ball and Yaiba, because Yaiba was Dragon Ball is 七龙珠 in Chinese, right? Seven Dragon Ball. So Yaiba is 八龙珠, 8 Dragon Ball. The title, the pirated manga title. So that's how they attract people that thought that this is a sequel of Dragon Ball.
But this is so weird, right? Like 七龙珠 is the official translation, isn't it?
Is
it not?
No, not really. There are no official translation back then.
But it's so widespread now. Is it not 七龙珠 in Chinese at all? Like does Shueisha
Yes,
not
the
recognize
official one
七龙珠?
right now is 七龙珠. Right now, it's so that time only there's no licensing official license to translation, so there are only pirated version.
Right, right. Wow. Okay. Like, I personally, for me, like, I grew up. My first contact was I actually had my first contact in on TV more than I did on the books. But I think
Oh, okay.
yeah, but I think I concede that I think my family is a little bit more liberal when it comes to TV. I was watching TV a lot more. So I was watching shows like I think I was sharing with Commander Mittens the last time. You might know her as Meow. So we were talking
Yeah, yeah.
about how like we were talking about how some of our initial impressions, because both Meow and I, we were from KL, right? So
Yep.
a lot of our influences seem to be more from the TV side than on books, where
Yes,
it seems like
anime,
our
yes.
yeah. So we grew up with like things like
Yes.
Kimba the White Lion, right? We watched that,
White
and
Lion.
then we watched like Speed Racer at some level, and we watched a lot of like Sentai related stuff as well, you know.
Yes, yes, correct.
Yeah. So contrast that to like what you experienced. Like yours is purely, hey, let's go into the barbershop. Here's a bunch of free comics. Keep quiet. Like read that and keep quiet.
Yeah, because since now you mentioned there are actually TV shows that I watched anime last time during the 90s. So there are like Robotech, the Macross American
You
version.
watched the original one?
I watched the original one, Macross, like much later. I watched Robotech actually.
Ooh.
It was screened on TV1 last time. But I don't understand shit at that time because it was dubbed in English, and then I can only hear S's and S's. They talk a lot of like I don't know why. That's the only sound that I capture. They all like something like that. So that was the thing that I never caught my attention for that anime, because besides just robot fighting, then fly everywhere, then yeah. So that's why it never really imprint into my memories at all.
All right. So
yeah, I remember Speed Racer also, but I don't really remember any of the content also.
I honestly, if you ask me to describe the content now, it's been so long, I can't remember it either. But I do remember watching it on TV. That's all. Like I remember, I remembered some scenes on TV. I remember when they did the live action movies, which did not get as much credit as it really should. It deserves much more better credit. There were certain things about it where they said like, oh yeah, we were referencing the anime and stuff like that, that I didn't even remember until I looked back and like looked up the anime and stuff like that as well. Like there were scenes where it's like, oh, the boy, the monkey who likes to like, you know, stay inside the boot of the car and sneak away and stuff like that. I didn't remember any of that.
Yep, totally not remembering anything.
I know, right? Yeah.
Because during that time, I think main reason is also because of the when our RTM screen the animes, right? They are not following the sequence, so they randomly they shuffle the yes. Because I heard the reason why they do that is because when they receive the tape that they bought, so they don't understand all the foreign words like Japanese or French or all those, right? So they just randomly just put up, oh, so what's screening this today? So they didn't even like fully one season, so they just slot this anime like whenever there's slot. So yeah, it's really that chinchai.
Well, I mean, I guess when you think that your audience are just kids, and the contents are just kids, right? Like you wouldn't think they would know, right? Yeah,
I hate it so much, especially when I see that episode got like to be continued. I said, no, it's not going to continue. Next week going to be another episode. Yes. So that's what I hate. Local TVs.
All right. For the record, though, that means your first mecha anime is not Evangelion, it's Robotech. I just want to put it out there.
Probably, but I'm not sure which one comes first. I still remember there are what do you call it? The one that got Taiwan suddenly cannot remember.
Which one? There's
The
so many
Gatai
Gatai
one,
ones.
the tiger one, very,
The
very.
Tiger Voltron lah.
Voltron, yes, correct. Voltron, yes.
I think I'm Voltron.
Voltron might be earlier, I think.
Oh, shit. So I don't. Okay, so since we're playing this
I
game of
remember the jingle
nostalgia,
until nowadays, so it's so classic.
yeah, no, like and how form the head. That's like it all, right? Like
Yeah.
like where's the?
Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh shit! I don't even remember the theme song. God damn it!
I remember that.
Oh shit, dude. Okay, but okay. Okay. So since we're going down this nostalgia lane, I do want to ask you: do you remember ever watching a mecha anime where the mecha is all made out of cars, and basically they form this giant mecha that's just this like with this conal like this cone shaped head one. The only reason why I'm
No,
asking is that I've been thinking about it a lot recently for some reason, and I can't remember the name of it, and I was certain it wasn't Transformers. I was certain it was not Transformers.
no, I can't remember.
All right, let's never mind that. Let's shelve
There
it
are
on the
too
side. Let's
many-
move on.
too many
All right.
mechas already.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, god dang it. It's really hard to tell. There was this phase. I know that there was this phase in the 90s where there's suddenly, for some reason, a lot of mecha animes.
Yeah, a lot of mecha.
Yeah,
Sentai mechas.
right.
So
Well, okay, let's move on then. So, as you were saying, 1990s, DBZ became your next big thing for you. What came after?
the big impact is when I read this manga called Ushu and Tora.
Oh, Ushu and Tora.
Yeah,
Right.
Ushu and Tora. Yeah, it's the first time it even hooked me much more than Dragon Ball. So much more that
Right.
I really like can read it again and again for the same books also.
Really?
So yeah, that's when I like realized, oh, manga is so much more so interesting. So I want to read more manga. So that's the key manga that bring me into the manga rental shop. That
Oh, okay.
yeah, then I pay like 30 cents to read one book there and just sit there and just read.
Yeah. I forgot about the surcharge.
Yeah. That time. So that time I think I was like primary school. So beside my school there is this comic store that ran the books. So I keep going there. Come to think of it, that comic book industry actually lasts quite long. It lasts until my college day. Yeah?
You're talking about the book rental ones, is it?
Yeah, the book rental.
Yeah, okay, let's be fair here. I think these days the trends shift even faster than normal. Like it's done at a speed that is just weirdly fast, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah. Probably we used to today's speed. Actually, a lot of trends last time maybe doesn't end so fast.
Yeah. No. I so this is a bit on the side, but also partially why what prompted me to do this whole series of stuff, right? Is because the fact of the matter is that we're living in this time, right, where mobile devices, internet has basically become so widespread that that basically things blow up really fast and also die out really fast because people get bored of it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
too much stimulation, so you get bored very fast.
I don't think it's too much stimulation. Well, in a way it is, but it's more like the way the amount of time it takes for something to spread is so small, it's so short. If you put it out right now, everyone else is going to get it almost instantly, like within the next 48, 24 hours, whatever, Like we talk about simultaneous streaming nowadays, right? Like from Japan, same day streaming, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, right.
So a lot of choices also compared with last time.
Exactly, and it's because of that. So what happens is that you tend to consume things really fast. And then it tends to just, oh, I'm done, that kind of thing. Yeah. So
last time we can look forward to something that can like, let's say the live actions of some anime and stuff, we can look forward for really, really long. Now it's like keep chunking out.
Right, exactly. I mean, the thing is, the fact of the matter is, like, back in the day, you'd look forward to something reaching your shores the organic way, which is like, oh, the distributor picks it up, someone brings it in, blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep, yep.
Nowadays, if it doesn't show up on your shores within like 3 months, you're going to the high seas.
Yes,
You know?
correct, correct.
So as much as I don't like talking about it that way, but it really is one of those kind of things where we've become fairly impatient about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I would argue whether that's a good or a bad thing, but it also has sort of led us to burn through our content a lot faster than we used to back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. But I definitely, this is definitely absolutely true. Like the old rental days, it's sort of past, and I think it has more to do with the fact that its role is sort of been superseded these days by like online like book readers and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Do you know, by the way, do you know that Shueisha actually has their own manga reader that you can just download for free?
Yes, but you have to pay for the previous chapters, right? If not
I actually
mistaken.
don't quite remember. Like I downloaded it once. I read a couple of episodes on it in English. I can't remember what the monetization model is, but it is available for anyone who actually wants to check it out. Like it is legitimately like Shueisha's one. So if you want to, that's a great way to support them. Yeah, and for those who are watching who don't know who Shueisha is, that is the publisher for Jump. So yeah, in case anyone's not familiar with it.
Yep. So come to think of it, I was actually into Power Rangers too last time. Is that a geek thing? I think that's a geek thing. Should
Yeah, it
mention.
definitely was. It definitely is. In fact, I was just talking to. So when I was in Indonesia a couple of weeks back, actually no, it's a month now at this point. So when I was in Indonesia about a month ago, and what happened was that while I was there, I was talking to a local. We were talking about how ACG sort of spread within Indonesia, and at least through his perspective, right, his own experiences with within Indonesia, Sentai and the whole mask rider kind of thing.
Tokusatsu.
Thank you. Tokusatsu culture was sort of the progenitor of Japanese anime, kind of like Japanese content culture within Indonesia. It was like the big one. Yeah, and interestingly enough, it wasn't until 2012 when AFA actually started an event in Indonesia, right? Like they never saw an anime event within Indonesia of that size, of that style, right? Until AFA went in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's surprisingly late.
Yeah, it is. In fact, so yeah.
But come to think of it, it should be about the time that the market get mature, because when the consumers reach certain that age and certain amount.
Correct.
Because like Malaysia that time, right? Why there's no like official event like anime events here is because of there are no legit data that to show how much consumers, geek consumers are here actually.
Right.
Because there are no official anime screen here. There's no official. Yeah.
So the absolute sad truth is, right, it's this kind of weird chicken and egg situation in the industry where where because no one's distributing here, you don't have the data. And then because you don't have the data, you don't know how good the market is. So you don't like, drop it in, but you won't find out how good it is until you drop, the content in and find out. Right. So it's a chicken and egg thing. I've often made a case for a lot of people that I personally feel that the big rise, right, of anime within this region in particular, what actually was more or less in line with the rise of social media within this region, because social media not only allowed you easy analytics, like basically you can see when people like and follow and thumbs up or whatever else there is. It also allowed you it also allowed people to get information like without being dependent on, say, TV ads, which is really expensive, or newspapers, which are also really expensive, for a lot of us. So yeah, so it became very easy and cheap for us to share our fandoms. It's around that time that like, like say for example, if you're staying, like for you, right, you're staying in Penang, you're like, oh hey, I didn't know there's like this thing that I like has like 16,000 different people who actually like it too, but we're just scattered in different places. And sometimes it's even
Yeah.
it could be even your neighbor that you don't know, like you don't because you don't talk to your neighbor about it, right? And stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, correct.
Yeah. So
Correct.
social media sort of opened up a lot of these kind of barriers.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
which is good thing, I feel.
yeah. But yeah, you were saying something about tokusatsu and Power Rangers actually, I think.
Oh yeah, if you go back to the original questions, that what's my geek journey, yeah, that's part of it actually. I was always looking forward to all the live actions tokusatsu shows also, like Ultraman and Baja Hitam, yeah, and Power Rangers and all those.
So okay, now correct me if I'm wrong on this one, because my memory of it is would be Power Rangers first. Sorry, no, it should be Baja Hitam first, then Ultraman, then Power Rangers.
Power Rangers, yes, correct.
Does that sound about right to you?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
Because last time all
right.
the dubs are in Malay, so English dubs become very refreshing for us. So I actually watched Power Rangers until like my high school times also.
Cool. By the
Until
way,
the first gen changed people and say, hey, the next gens are fake. So I stopped watching.
by the way, for anyone who's curious, right? I just want to share. By the way, I love sharing stuff just generally out of the blue. Like,
Yeah.
if anyone's interested, right, please go Google or YouTube for how Saban got their hands on Power Rangers, because the story is really interesting. The fact is, the person who was actually pushing for it literally had to fight for it. It's now super
Okay.
huge, and you look back and you're like, oh yeah, it's obviously like, you know, which idiot wouldn't agree to Power Rangers, right? But no,
Yeah.
the guy who wanted it had to push for it and fight for it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the story is really
That's why
interesting. It's really what you do.
when a lot of great ideas comes to life, right? I always like wonder how difficult they during their initial pitching
Yeah, I
stage.
know,
You know?
right? Like how,
Yeah, especially if there are nobodies.
yeah, how much of a fight you had to go through, right?
Yeah, I know. Like
Insane.
for example, the recent years one is the one that I'm always curious one is the Kingdom Hearts.
Ooh, oh
How-
god.
How did Square Enix manage to convince Disney to join their IPs to release, and some more is
Shit.
led by a new what do you call it? New IPs, new characters.
Yeah.
That they
yeah.
let this company that butcher their character like Disney characters, those happy things, princesses and stuff like that, into like fighting games. How?
Yeah.
There are so many characters, you know. There are so much of
yeah,
like
but-
great shit hell over there, you know. So I don't understand that. So I really damn
yeah,
kick.
yeah, the approval process for that must be hell, right? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, but to Disney's benefit. Now, to be fair, like, and this is just being a little bit like, you know, hey, I don't know this for sure, but to Disney's benefit, I think at least they wouldn't follow the same approval committees, because I know Square Enix's one, the way they do it is like 1 to 6, I believe. They have a legacy committee to manage the rights for it.
Mhm.
So basically, the rights for Final Fantasy 1 to 6, if you want to go, there's a committee for it that just handles that specific one, 1 to 6.
Yeah.
Then everyone after that, right? That means like 7, 8, 9, and so on and so forth, has a specific person that you have to like get the approval from. You know.
Mm.
So, but at least for
Yeah.
Disney, right? I don't think you have to go that far. Like Disney has they still have their licensing team and all that watches over it. But it's at least just one team that you have to deal with for everybody, I assume.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah, like Russ said, like Nomura be like, hey, Disney, you want a game? Disney be like, oh, we are fan of you, let's go. Yeah.
For
It
you know,
actually
right?
really depend on who are you talking with, I guess.
Yeah. It really does. It really does. Yeah, but oh god. For you also similarly, Baja Hitam first, Ultraman, then after that Power Rangers, and this probably led you all the way until what, your teens? Was that?
Yeah, my teens. So even until high school, probably I'm still only reading Dragon Balls and Ushu and Dora, because they are not ended yet. So I like keep looking forward for these two. So until high school only, I realized the pirated comic, Manhwa Jokan, the Comic Weekly.
Oh.
So that is when I was more exposed to more anime thing. That would including anime, like anime. So that's when I first purchased a pirated VCD, which is Evangelion, during 1997.
Jing. The origin story happens.
The origin. But actually, that's not the origin of my name, my nickname, actually.
Oh. All right.
So that time was I really into games as well. So I always like go to cyber cafes as well, and then I start using the nickname called. That time, I think because I got study a little bit of Buddhism, so I kind of like admire the nirvana status, you see, enlightenment. You reach everything, like you're perfect in every way. You know everything. Yeah, you become the godlike being. So I use nirvana as my nickname. So then nirvana is very mouthful, so very long. So change to NIR, nir.
Near.
So after that, yes, after that, then I watch Eva and say, hey, might as well change the nerve. So that's where the name comes from.
It's an evolution of like your gaming in-game name and like the influences for your different geek fandoms and stuff like that.
Yes,
This is the dynamic calculus that came into these 4 letters.
Yes. So a lot of people don't believe it. Yeah.
Did you ever while you were gaming, did you ever like run into people and just go like I'm going to send you to Nirvana or some shit like that? Like, did you ever scream?
No.
Full cry.
No. I'm not really that talkative. So like when in cyber cafes, I only like really I don't even chat as well. So I just play games and then, so more of an introvert gamer.
Understood. So, what did you play back then?
That time, I think my first cyber cafe game was, if not mistaken, should be Red Alert. If not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah, it should be Red Alert. The first one.
Not Half-Life, not anything else. It was actually Red Alert.
Yeah, it was actually Red Alert.
That is fascinating.
Half-Life was later, much later instead.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm actually surprised because go ahead.
Yeah, because that time I was really into RTS.
Oh.
So RTS would be my first choice of game.
Cool.
Then until like later, more and more friends, they are more into first-person shooter. So that's when I start like playing Half-Life and playing Counter-Strike as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why when Warcraft 3 come out, so I'm really into Warcraft 3 back then. During my college life. That was during college time, right?
Wow. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. So for those who don't know, Nerv and I, we both graduated from the One Academy. I think a very important question I'm curious to know is, did any part of your exposure to entertainment, everything from your tokusatsu days to your gaming days to your comics and anime and everything else, did any of that ever influenced your decision making in going to the One Academy?
Yeah, definitely. I think that time after graduating from high school, so I'm not too sure that what I wanted to do. So I was thinking about like into teaching. So since that time, I kind of like kids. So I was thinking about teaching, and then I was thinking about like I never think about animation at all actually that time. So I even think about musics. I love musics also. So then I was thinking that maybe like multimedia, because of multimedia at the time was a new thing. Yeah, I don't know. You learn multimedia, you have like broader way, like a career path to
Right,
choose
right.
from. So I don't have much idea of what the industry can be
Mm,
until I start looking into those high schools for graduates, all the brochures that sent to us as graduates.
mm.
So I saw the One Academy's brochure, and then only I start looking into. Then actually I was kind of like turned off by the school fee. Then I was like, is there any alternative other schools like similar one? Oh, there are actually is there are actually like Equator in Penang. There are actually Lim Wings back then was slightly cheaper, but
Oh, was it?
I heard
Oh,
yeah slightly cheaper. I think the one academy was the most expensive one.
oh, was it? Okay, because
Yeah.
I could swear when I joined, Lim Wing was more expensive than the one actually.
Oh,
But
is it?
once again, my memory is probably faulty.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what everybody told me lah. Because I remember the One Academy's animation course was like uh back then was like 60,000, which is
Right.
ridiculously crazy for like
Right.
20 years old.
Right. Right.
20 years before. Then
Yeah.
Lingoing was about 30 over. It was like almost half, if not mistaken. I can be wrong.
Really? Okay. I mean, we don't have the brochures offhand, obviously, so there's no way on earth we can get this accurate. As a
Yeah,
small
yeah.
thing though, like as a small thing, just as a point of reference, right? Like for those who are wondering, like 60,000 ringgit back in the day, and back in our days, the ringgit was still pegged to the USD, which was roughly like 4-1 at a 4-1 ratio, if I'm not mistaken.
The peg was 3.7, if I'm not
Is it
mistaken.
3.7? Was it?
3 point something one. Yeah,
Alright.
then slowly grow to 4
Yeah.
later.
Okay, so I'm going to round it down then. It's about 3.5 then. Like 60,000 at about 3.5 is roughly about, I think, 15, you're looking at about roughly, maybe about 15,000, less than that, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, no, actually slightly more than that. Sorry, my mistake. It's about roughly 17,000, 17,000 USD.
Yeah.
So yeah, and what I think the One Academy provided was a diploma at the time, because I don't think
Yep.
the One Academy actually
Yeah,
provided a
study, yeah.
degree.
Yeah, they
Right?
don't have degree. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. Okay. So so sorry, you were saying like you didn't know what to do. So
Yeah. Then I saw a lot of the work that they did. Then the One Academy's portfolio looks promising. Then only then I start looking for study loans, scholarships, and all those to try to fund my way to the One Academy. Actually, the main thing that sold to me is the free access to Sunway Lagoon.
which they discontinued, by the way.
What?
They discontinued that. It was
Yeah, they discontinued that. Yes, correct.
I think it was 1 or 2 years after I graduated, something like that. I think 1 or 2 years after I graduated, like they
Yes.
stopped it completely.
Yeah, because the students are abusing the pass.
What were they doing there?
They share to family members. They share to they pass around and all those. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but that was what I heard lah. But maybe Sunway think that it's not a good deal for the student to do that, or they become a really headache like procedures, because you had to treat the students specially. Like one more thing to teach all the workers, and one more steps to like recognize the different passes. So probably that's the more of the reason.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like the One Academy eventually moved out of like that specific area, and it became harder, and like it made less sense because
Yeah, correct.
yeah, because like they moved to what's that building called now? I really can't remember, but
The last time the Kunia building, right?
yeah, it's the old Kurnia building that is like way on the opposite end of the road.
Yeah, last time you remember I got one very popular club over there.
Is there?
I forgot already what's the name.
Yeah, but it's opposite the it's on the opposite end of the federal highway, so of where the Motorola building was.
Yeah, they take the entire building.
Yeah, they completely bought over the entire building. So like the One Academy obviously has made something of itself. But yeah, it's when it was there, Yeah, I just never thought that anyone would abuse it because I barely used it when I was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into the One Academy then. Then only I started learning about more about the industries and animes and stuff. I still remember last time to consume animes, as in like to look for animes, right? Really, really difficult. During the late 90s or even because although that time got VCDs, right? The
Right.
VCDs you can't really find animes as well. So
That's true.
that time it's like you have to mail to someone, ask someone to burn the CD and then you buy it from them
Shit, really?
using one post. I remember.
Wow.
So that's why the pirated comes that way. It's like it's not even like official. It's a really really home pirated.
Right. Okay, that's fascinating. Actually, on that note, I want to ask you one quick thing then. Because so I grew up in Ampang, and when I was
Yeah.
there, right, my first introduction to Baja Hitam was when I was hanging out with my Ampang friends, quote unquote friends. Don't even remember their real names anymore. Uh, it's so long.
Yeah.
So like, and they would rent cassette tapes of Baja Hitam, like so VHS cassette tapes of Baja Hitam, and they would be watching him. We would sit around the TV and watch it together.
Yes,
Did
correct.
you have a very similar experience?
Yeah, I do. The most Eva is actually one of them. So I rented Eva until certain episodes they stopped. It's like episode. I forgot which episode already. So the tape was more the anime I ran from like watching the VHS tape is Dragon Ball GT
Right.
that time. So Dragon Ball is the whole Dragon Ball series, right? I actually never really watch it. The anime, I only read the manga. So when GT released, so I think that oh yeah, this is the continuation of Dragon Ball. So this would be interesting. So I just ran. I saw it they released on the VHS tape. So I just watched from that.
Nice.
Until later of the day, then only they convert it into VCD. I
Mm,
remember.
nice.
That was around like 96, 90 to 96 to year 2000 a day. Very, very slow when the release also.
Yeah, I did remember. Like for some reason, it felt like it took forever. I can't remember exactly why.
Take forever when the release per episode.
Mm. Oh, well. Anyways, okay. So let's go. Let's move on a little bit. So after the One Academy, I am very curious because, uh, like for anyone who's watching, like as I said right from the beginning, I've known you for a very very long time. But
Yeah.
this is the void, the gap, the gap period where I have absolutely no idea what you were doing.
Oh, okay.
So immediately after your graduation from the One Academy, what happened from
Mhm.
there?
After graduate from the One Academy,
Mm.
I work in Swedish animation studio
Oh,
that is in Hatamas. So I worked there for about half a year, 6 months. Then the company closed down. Then I moved to this 2D animation studio that one you should know. Like this is where I met they all is called
oh,
Tuna Animation. So there is 2D animation. So I
right, right,
jumped
right.
from 2D to 2D. Yeah. So from there, I probably you know where I jumped again already after that.
Mm.
Because right after that is the game studio that John Gao Games, if not mistaken. Yeah, John Gao Games.
Oh,
Yeah, then John Gao Games closed down. Then I go to Kameliang, the local studios, the local comic one. Then after Kameliang is Kibinet, yeah, where I work with you,
eh,
same studio.
eh.
Yeah,
Chameleon is after. So Cubina is after Chameleon.
yeah, Kibinet is after Kameliang.
Man, my memories must be shites.
Yep.
I could swear Chameleon was after QB.
No lah. No, it was before QB.
Oh shite.
Yeah. It was before QB.
Nice. So like once again, like for those who are not familiar with the Malaysian scene, right? This period was, I think, around, is it 1990s? Was it? No, it's already was
2000,
it's already
early
early to
2000,
yeah, the early
uh,
2000s, before the
2000,
2010s.
2010. That's the gap.
Yeah, between 2000 to
2010 years.
2010s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's around this
Yeah.
time.
I graduated at 2003.
Right. So yeah, so around this time, right, the Malaysian games industry, like the games development industry, was just starting.
Yes, correct.
So I
Then
think
there are a lot of distributor for online games that during the time.
yes, exactly. Ragnarok Online was a huge
Big
thing during
boom,
that
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, big boom. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a huge boom in Malaysia as a place to like just start up your MMOs and stuff like that.
Yep.
And
Early
then
pay.
yeah, then after that, there was also a small. I wouldn't say it was a large, but like there's a small boom in also like animation stuff. I think around that time, what else was there? I suddenly can't remember. I know there was a couple of like local animations that was like starting to get some traction
Yeah.
also back then.
Yes, correct. There are some local 2D animations like Bola
Yeah.
Kampung.
Yeah. Bola Kampung, thank you.
Yeah, Bola Kampung, and then the some 3D animation also just starting also.
Right.
The 3D animation studios, if not mistaken, it's called Jump Studio. If not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, they did some quite good animations also. Then after that, they cannot sustain. Then they close down the studios.
Yeah.
Then they rent their mocap equipments to the visual effects industry.
Oh,
Which that time I think they are a little bit early. If they like start up slightly about like 3 years later, everything could be so much more easier for them.
well, I mean, I think like sometimes in this industry in particular, it's about really like somehow finding the right timing exactly, right?
Yeah,
Like somehow
yeah,
just hitting the right time. Otherwise, you're just gonna miss the mark.
Yeah, correct.
But yeah, so this was the early 2000s that you were doing. I also wanted to do a quick highlight for anyone who's familiar with the title Kameliang, because specifically you were working with the comic artist, right? Who actually drew
Yes,
for
correct.
Kameliang, and your
Yeah.
right. Sorry, I was gonna go like basically what were you doing with him at the time?
Oh, in that studio, I was the editor for the magazine. So that time because of people start using internet, so he want to like have a magazine to talk about the internet safety. So I started the magazine. Like I'm the editor for that magazine. I'm the writer for all the most of the content, like 80% of the content inside, like columns, like Q&A, software introductions or software and apps introductions. And then I got serialized a comic monthly
Right.
inside the magazine, and then the illustrator for that magazine. Even I draw a chameleon character also in that magazine sometimes. So just to because it's the IP, so I have to draw the characters. Then that's my job inside
Yeah,
that company.
I actually didn't know that that was sort of the goal, because I just thought it was just going to like it's just another children's magazine kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that is the goal of that magazine. Yeah, that magazine actually sold quite well actually in during that time.
Nice.
When released that time, it was about like 6,000 copies. 6,000 copies. Then it slowly increased to 14,000 copies.
This is nationwide, right?
Yeah, nationwide. Yes, correct. For magazine, it's considered very good already for children magazine. Yeah, children magazine is super good already. I still remember that time the Manhwa Wang, Comic King from Gempa one was also about a few thousand only. Although they're not targeting schools. So yeah.
Right. I think like at some point the market target schools. I mean maybe because this is a bias from like people like me who were in the industry at the time, but like it certainly felt like trying to target schools at one point or another was sort of quote unquote the easy way to get an established market.
Yes, correct. It is relatively easy because you don't have to compete with foreign content.
Oh, that's fair.
So yeah, but also it become difficult because of there are so many publishers trying to grab the market share. So it become like very like bad competition over there.
So basically, it's a bunch of like local guys fighting over that slice of that pie, lah.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. So for anyone who's curious, the reason why I bring this to highlight is because for those who were growing up during that time, like especially if you were in primary school around the 2010s or like the early 2000s kind of thing, like you're definitely going to be familiar with Nerv's work at some level.
Oh, you have to be specific. Chinese school.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
S.E.A.
Sorry. Yes, Comic Fiesta was also a Chinese publication, so I'm sorry for everybody else.
Yep.
This is really a bit besides the point, but was there ever any discussion about making a Malay version for Comic Fiesta, like for distribution for SKs and stuff like that?
Yes, there are discussions about like translations into English and Malay versions, but I heard there are like some difficulties or red tapes to make deals with Sekolah Kebangsaan. Yes, correct.
Understood. So I guess the complexities there just made it a little bit like, oh yeah, I think we're good enough. Was it too much trouble than it's worth, or is this just like, oh, we're good enough? I'm just not.
Too much trouble, and then there are a lot of like, they say that it's almost impossible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So even until now.
Ow.
So that's why you see that for the children book markets nowadays only like boom, but it was not sold at school. Instead, it was sold in like bookstores.
Ouch. Okay.
So basically, you see the sudden boom in children comics, consume products, right? Or entertainment, like in terms of books, right? That was about like Malay market is about like 10 years slower than the Chinese market.
Oh, okay. Is it because of the approval problems and all these kind of things?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, look, we're very small. This is many years ago. Your experiences are like at least 10 years ago. At this point, we are talking about the early 2000s once again.
Yes, correct.
So that this perspective that we're talking about is something that could have easily transitioned out of over the last few years. So if anyone has any new insight on this, I'd be happy to see in the comments. But yeah, I'm very curious how it's developed since then. Frankly, even for me, when I was growing up, I remember when I was in primary school, right? We were constantly encouraged to read. Like as a thing, our teachers would hand us like the Sing Sing Zhou Bao, that kind of stuff, and say like, oh yeah, here, get this subscription and stuff like that. I had no idea what I'm doing. Like my dad would ask me like, oh, do you want one? And I'm like, I have no idea what this is, but sure, I guess.
Yeah, you just subscribe. Then that's why the teacher will ask the kids, just buy. This is the magazine that we read every week. Yeah, and then they subscribe. So apparently, Camilla is one of the early one that entered the market.
Yeah. So are they even still around? I'm not even sure anymore.
Sing Sing. Sing Sing no longer already. I still remember they have like stop producing ceremony over there also.
Really?
Yeah, I think in the past few years only. It's quite recent. It's not really that long ago. Yeah, it's not really that long ago.
Yes, I remember. I don't remember when exactly, but I remember like quite some time after I graduated. Like because this was back for me. It was in primary school, right? So I remember somehow getting my hands on a very recent copy of the Sing Sing Zhou Bao. And I realized I was holding on to it and I was like, this feels thinner. I remember very specifically going, this feels a lot thinner than I remembered it to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yep. Printing become very expensive.
I know, right? Paper is becoming a luxury at some point.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about let's get into the meat of things. Let's talk about what so I know you more, like we got closer through Comic Fiesta, through organizing Comic Fiesta in particular.
Yeah.
How did you first get in contact with Comic Fiesta, and what got you what got you into like helping to organize Comic Fiesta?
I actually can't remember already how I got into Comic Fiesta. I heard about Comic Fiesta from Comic Weekly. So I attended the first Comic Fiesta.
Oh, you did?
And how I actually got into Comic Fiesta committee, I actually can't remember.
How did you get conned into this?
Yeah, man. How? Maybe I first I get to know some people from the forum, Comic Fiesta forum.
Right.
It's not even IRC. I joined Comic Fiesta after the IRC period. They already started the forum. Yeah. I know concurrently the forum and the IRC is still active. But I after the forum was set up. So I joined the forum and then get to know the people there. And then joined a few gatherings, then probably because of Matsuru, if not mistaken.
So Matsuru dragged you in.
Yeah, because Matsuru was the com, then he's my senior. He subbed a few freelancers for me. But wait, there are vague memories. Like I joined Comic Fest, I only know Matsuru. Which one comes first?
Oh no.
Shit. I cannot remember.
All growing already. So once again, I
20
just
over years ago, very hard to remember.
So once again, I'm just going to bring everybody's attention back to like the fact that we're all growing old and our memories are fading.
Yep.
Now, if only we had this chat like 10 years ago.
Yep, probably.
Well, okay. So just to give a little bit on my end as well. I only entered the scene in 2003. It means I basically missed Comic Fiesta 1, right?
Okay.
And I only joined really into organizing it and helping out in 2004 and then on. I remember it very specifically having left in between, and I'll be honest, I actually didn't have. I remember like talking to you once in a while, but I don't remember us being all that close.
No.
Yeah. Until many years later, right? I think I remember it was sometime close to Sunway, like the years of Sunway.
Yes, around 2007, 2008, like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you were like, "Hey, do you want to come back and help out?" You know. And
did I ask you?
Yeah, you asked me. It was you specifically were asking me because I remember. No, so this one I remember very clearly, right? Because you asked me and said like, "Hey, would you like to come back and help out?" And I was like, "Sure, I guess." Like, you know, I always wanted to help. I always liked the event. As far as I'm concerned, the only reason why I left last time was like I felt like I wasn't really needed, you know, stuff like that. So, cool. So I came in, and then it was a whole thing. I don't want to get into too deep into Comic Fiesta right now because that's a whole topic on its own. Today's main topic is about CAFKL, which is going to be happening over this weekend.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So, but I do want to talk about really like the initial, like how we got into organizing and stuff like that. So,
okay.
So that's basically the short version of it for now. Yeah, we'll do a separate one about our history with CF another day, which has its own body. Like it's long story, right? Where we will not repeat our entire history, your entire history before this. We will that full 1 hour that we just went past would be referenced to this video, to this stream. Let's talk about Comic Fiesta started in 2002. After many years of Comic Fiesta, in 2014, the first CAFKL was organized.
Yes.
Why don't you walk us through why CAFKL and what, like, sort of the thinking and the the sort of the things that sort of led up to the organizing of CAFKL for the first time in 2014?
That time, we trying to, because of we already start up our organizations officially. So we already Comic Fiesta already have the as like we have the Comic Fiesta. So to keep Comic Fiesta sustained, we cannot just depend on Comic Fiesta. So that time I have the ideas of branching out satellite events. So there are like Comic Fiesta minis, then there are Cosmarts, and then there are CAFKLs. So Cosmart is like for cosplayers, then CAFKL is obviously for artists. So it's something that we among the committee, we come up the ideas. Then we thinking that, oh, maybe this is a good chance to like do what CF originally wanted to do. it like purely for artists themselves.
That sounds absolutely way worse than it really is. But
yeah, then after that we like thinking that why don't we like
right.
maybe we push a little bit on the art itself, the focus on the creation of comic arts, because a lot of us really love comics. So we like really want to see this Malaysian industry boom. So we reference from this instead of Comic Cat, we actually more referencing on the Angolan Comic Festival.
Right.
So where we like try to get the best comic content in.
Right.
So that's how it was born. Yeah.
So when you say best of comic content, are you talking about like best of local comic content, or is it like, oh yeah, we're just gonna get like as much as we can get?
Yeah,
kind of
local. We try to get. Of course, there are a lot of. Initially, we try to get more overseas like inspirations, like mangakas and then Hong Kong artists, and then we realized that it's so much more effective if we keep pushing the local artists. Of course, we will try to like get international artists as well, but we realized that, yeah, like I said, it's more effective.
Okay, so when you say effective, what do you could you elaborate?
Effective as in the local people recognize them. They are like bigger response. Then bigger response pull more people to recognize them also.
Right,
so it's
right.
like a better snowball to start with.
Right. Well, okay. Not to put words in your mouth, like even for me personally, I remember when we were talking about CAFKL back in the day.
Yeah.
I did feel like there was this constant concern over the next steps of the comic industry, the local comic industry at least.
Yes, right.
And CF's role as a platform for that, for the comic
Yes,
industry. Because I think one of the big concerns we had at the time was how a lot of the local like stuff gets easily buried in the festival that is Comic Fiesta itself. Right? So like there's so many things that comes out, and a lot of them are like larger IPs and things like that sort of very easily buries what could have been like something that like, oh yeah, hey, like for example, Yenny's comics, My Nerd Boyfriend, right? My Giant Nerd Boyfriend.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. Like those would disappear very easily in that noise.
Yes,
I know nowadays it's easy to say that she wouldn't anymore. Like she's big now, but like back in the day when she first started, right? It was one of those kind of things where you can easily worry about that kind of thing disappearing in the noise that is Comic Fiesta.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so I think part of the intent, at least for CAFKL, my understanding was always like, let's do something without all that noise. Like, not to say they're not welcome, they're not appreciated, and all that kind of stuff. But like, the point was to have a focused platform where let's do just comics and nothing else.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and I think this philosophy went even further to the point that like you guys went straight up and said, yeah, if you're not selling comics, you're not getting a booth here.
Yes, correct.
That was the initial one, right? Like I'm
Yes,
guessing,
correct.
I'm assuming the rules have like sort of loosened a little bit over the years.
It's not that strict. You have to draw comics per se. You get
Right.
prioritized if you have comics to sell,
Right.
the original comics to sell.
Right.
You'll be prioritized.
Right. So original comics as priorities, and then like doujins as a separate thing altogether,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's also worth noting that for anyone who's not familiar with the events that we're talking about here, Comic Cat, while by its name it's supposed to imply a comic market kind of thing,
Yes.
the culture behind doujins in Japan is very different from what you may think it is, because doujins actually don't necessarily. I mean, okay, doujins by themselves are by definition magazines,
Yeah.
but the way Comic Cat sort of treats itself is sort of like when basically if you're a fan of something, you can get a table. So you can get if you're making games, you can get a table. You can get if you're making comics, you can get a table. That's the obvious one, right? But the more extreme ends of it, if you're a photographer, you can get a table very easily.
Yep.
You know, and if you're a collector of stuff, you want to just display stuff, you can do that too. So for those who are not familiar with that separation, right? Like having something that's even more focused on comics and comics alone is something that's a little bit different. And I think even in Japan itself, they also have something very similar. If I'm not mistaken, there is a event in Japan that is like specifically only for self-made comics, like original IP comics. I just can't remember the name of the event. Is it? Do you happen to remember? Do you know about it?
No, but I heard about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I remember.
I think similar events actually like get more and more well received in the region. I think like Singapore one got the Dojima, so it's getting very big as well.
Right. But I don't think like Dojima's closer to. I think Dojima's closer to what Comic Cat is.
Yes,
so
correct.
they're not as specific to like, oh no, you have to draw and you have to all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's something that about CAFKL is what the CF people do is to create the platform, Dojin platforms, like similar to Dojin platforms. Actually, in terms of structure, they are not much different from Comic Cat, but it's the curations that make the difference. That who are we targeting the market to, and then what are the contents that we prefer.
Right.
So that makes the difference.
Right.
And it actually grows into something that I actually kind of enjoy going there, because you get to meet artists that really like similar-minded artists that you can share the ideas of creating stuff, talk about storytelling, talk about like joining comic festivals overseas, and really it's really fun to be there actually.
So it's
besides the stage contents, the booths are actually like super nice to walk around. Yeah.
Right. So actually, you're hitting on something that I think I've had a couple of conversations with organizers at different levels and stuff like that, but we've never really talked about how content curation in this form, specifically about like what type of booths that you say yes to, what type of booths you say no to, exhibitors and doujinkas alike, how they influence your experience and how they shape sort of the tone and the flavor of your event, right? So I think this is where CAFKL really is a thing, partially because like, oh, you guys went and said, oh yeah, hey, we'll be very specifically selecting only people who are here to draw, who are here to want to create comics and all that kind of stuff, who wants to tell stories and things like that. Then they're prioritized, and therefore the vast majority of the people who are there share this similar mindset. And when you're there, it feels like a stronger convention, doesn't it?
Yes, correct. It feels like it feels stronger like a convention.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was it was funny because when I was hearing you talk about it, it never really occurred to me in that sense, because I've been so used to thinking about the experiences in events, right? Like closer to what we did with CF, you know, where it's a lot of very celebration, and it's like, oh yeah,
Yes.
hey, we come here to, you know, like, you know, blow party poppers and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
and at some level, you kind of forget that sometimes you can do smaller, niche, and, you know, quieter events where it's a lot of, hey, we're all here because we like to tell stories.
And we like drawing.
All right. So let's that's the beginning of it. That's beginning of it. Let's go down sort of some old photos, because I dug it up, and most of these photos, if not all of these photos, are available on the CAFKL Facebook page. You can find a link in the description below if you're interested. But let's go through some of them and let's talk some stories, shall we?
Okay.
All right. Let's start with I think I want to start with this very interesting photo, which like, I think I can share this one a little bit. Give me a second, yeah. All right, here we go. Okay, so this photo is one that is actually a very behind the scenes, like backstage kind of thing for as an organizer kind of thing. I think most people would never see this photo, but this was basically when we were doing the recce for the first CAFKL. You used to remember where this was?
It's at Pasar Seni, the gallery there. Now it's no longer a gallery lah.
It's no
So
longer a
last time
gallery?
it was served as the gallery.
Right. Do you remember, like, what is it now?
It's still there actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's still there. The building is still there. It's Pasar Seni. You come from the RT side, then you go through the market, like 2 stories market area. You exit that building.
Right.
There's another building behind.
Right.
So there are like a mini theater behind. There are like small shops. I think this is about like 3 or 4 stories high building. So this is at the top floor.
I still remember this one in particular, where the reason why we had to take this photo in particular, right, was because when we were visiting the site, we were so worried that there wouldn't be enough space, like how cramped it would be.
Yes, correct.
And it was the first time we were doing it. I think the budget was really small.
Yes.
We were still trying to figure out what to do, and like we just did this test layout just to get a sense of like, hey, is this feasible, right?
Yeah. The backspace, the table size, then the workspace. Yeah.
Most people, like some people would question like, oh, like do they even do these kind of tests? And the short answer is, you know, CF does. The unfortunate truth is that sometimes like these tests don't 100% reflect reality, like on site day itself. So sometimes it's like, oh, it's a lot tighter than we expect it to be. You know?
No, it does give a very, very accurate sense of space, actually. But the nowadays we don't really do that really, because with all the experience we know how to look at the graphs already. Last time we don't know. It's like, is this a lot space? We're not sure.
Right. We
need to like do this actual thing to like actually like look at it to determine how much space.
Yeah, at some level of familiarity, you're like, no, this is fine. This is fine. You know, and this is fine. Experience has told me that this is fine. You know.
Yep. Correct.
Right. Anyway, okay. My ordering of photos is a bit off, but what we're going to do is, so you mentioned earlier about the first year's. Sorry, let me do it. Let me pull this out a little bit. I'm going to. So we were talking about where it was. So this is actually where it was. We're talking about Central Market.
Yep.
Yeah. So for those who know, who are curious, this is actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is still sort of a heritage site for Malaysia. So so it's going to be preserved. It's going to be there for a very long time. So as far as we know, I think both CF and CAFKL's like first venues are always just going to be in KL forever. Interestingly enough, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was just the cheapest option available.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, let's take a quick look at this is the floor plan back in the day.
Yeah.
I have to ask though, like CAFKL, when it was first done, it suddenly feels like its style hasn't really changed over the years. Like it looks pretty much like day one till this year, which is like
Yep.
it looks more or less the same. Is it something that you guys feel like, oh no, we feel that it's good, it it reflects what we want to try and do, or is it just something like, oh no, it's not broken, let's not fix it kind of thing?
More like it's not broken, let's not fix it. No. The reason is because it's simple and then it's very easy to follow, and then it's very memorable.
I love the tact.
Simple,
Like,
black and white color and
Right.
yellow,
right.
and then we make pun jokes using animals, and this is something that people remember. It's
Yeah,
like how I get the this year's guest Alan Kwa.
Yeah.
It's the day I met him, and then he said that, oh yeah, I saw your Ayam coming back event. Are we? Can I come back? And this become the topic. Is like, so they say, oh, you remember the Ayam coming back, but you don't remember the Comic Art Festival. They say, yeah, I don't remember the Comic Art Festival.
That is just horrible. Okay, so here's the funny thing, right? Like, it's funny that you should mention Ellen Kwok, because I was looking through the pictures. As I said, I was like looking through a bunch of the old pictures just to try and find something to share. And
Yeah.
and one of the things that I did shortlist, right, was this old picture of Alan Kwa.
Yeah.
So Alan Kwa was there on the
It was
first.
like 8 years ago, I think.
Yeah. This was the first. Once again, this is the first CAFKL. This is not 8 years ago, but it is 10 years ago. This is 2014.
Oh, this is 10 years ago. Oh, okay.
It's 10 years ago. So CAFKL at this point is 10 years old, and like we had like Alan Kwa was there doing a demo. We can see like this camera projector and like thing, and yeah. Was this the first? Was this the last time Alan Kwa was around? Has Alan Kwa been at CAFKL like in between?
I can't remember. I think could be that this is the last. I think.
So this was literally the last time, is it?
Yeah. Literally the last.
Okay, we could be wrong, by the way. Because I do have some like pictures of the overviews of the other events. If he shows up, let's just correct ourselves along the way. It'd be really interesting if we get a comment. It'd be really funny if I get a comment from Alan Kwa later and goes like, "Oh my God, Nerv, how can you forget?"
No, he said something on his Facebook page that the last time I appeared in this show was 9 years ago.
That sounds about right. That means that means this
That
was
should
the
be the
last time.
last one.
This one should be the last one.
It was the last time,
And it's 10 years then. It's 10 years. It's not 9, it's 10.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Anyways, but yeah. I for also for those who are curious also to know, like there's this the first time CAFKL was organized, they also had like Japanese guests. I just want to bring up this promo image where basically they had a manga panel
Yep.
with Kurata Sensei, Arima Sensei, Fukuda Sensei. Do you like? Was it? I remember back in the times, like CF was having this initial relationship with some of these mangakas. Like, how was this like getting them over? Was it complicated? Was it difficult? Because I think when this was being done, this was done in conjunction with the Embassy of Japan. It's co-organized, as it's written here, right? It's co-organized by Asian Manga Association and the Embassy of Japan. Was it difficult? Have you guys worked together since then?
With Japanese embassy is usually it's about the person that work in the embassy that interested to initiate the collaboration, and the embassy usually they change person like very very quickly, like from like 1-2 years later, then they change people already. So probably that's why they no longer work with us.
Okay. So
but we still have connection. Actually, the connections is not from it's not from the embassy. The embassy is somehow that we make into like, hey, we have Japanese artists come over. We already have the connections, so we ask the embassy, like, are you interested in like collaborating in some ways, like let's say promoting and stuff, everything like that also
Right.
to kickstart some relationships.
Right. Okay. I mean, once again, very behind the scenes complexities of organizing and the dynamics of some of these things. Opportunities
Yeah.
sometimes happen, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Correct.
Let's talk about something a little bit lighter. I just want to really quickly show everyone this picture of basically how it was like trying to get into the event at that time.
Yeah, it was very narrow.
Yeah, like basically, I think everyone was lining on staircases.
Yep. I think that time was very like this kind of market is still very rare, as in like the indie market we call it. Now in Malaysia, it's kind of a trend.
Yeah.
That indie artists is not, of course, it's not just about comic. There are a lot of other genre as well. The indie markets become a really hit thing.
Is it called indie markets nowadays? Is that what it's called?
This is what I call, but I'm not sure how other people call it. Or some people may call it hipster market.
So on that note, right? Like I think once again, like this is where CAFKL is very specifically different, right? Because
Yes,
everyone in this place is an artist. Is an illustrator. I have to be correct. We have to be specific on this one. We're talking about like visual artist kind of thing, and like you're an illustrator of some sort, stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Yep. So I think this one, this was the first time you guys were doing it. I think like the venue ended up being super duper packed. I think it was a lot of complaints about like heating. I still remember the coolers, by the way. I remember the coolers. I have no pictures of them, but like I remember the coolers.
Yeah. We ordered coolers, like extra coolers on second day also. The first day the coolers apparently not enough, then we had to add on.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, right, those coolers don't cool on their own. You actually have to buy ice and like stock ice on a base.
Ice. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so we actually had to do that. Fascinating. But yeah, oh god, and like the melting ice was its own problem. Like
Yeah,
the
the
water
water
was
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah, but yeah, first year was there with like that huge crowd density. And that was that. Like how, but personally for me, I felt like the response was really encouraging. What did you feel? What did the team feel? Do you still remember?
Yeah, it was actually a lot better than we thought initially. And then we thought, because during the time we thought that only cosplayers will be able to pull crowd. Then artists can pull crowd as well, and then there are a lot of like-minded people to join in as well. So yeah, that's where we kickstart the thing. And then yeah, it actually turns out a lot better than I thought. Even throughout the years, it become more and more like what we initially wanted it to be.
Right. I mean, I think like it's difficult to really say. I personally feel it's really difficult to really say how well something like that would be received. But I think like seeing a place filled up like that, right, is very, very encouraging.
Yeah, it does. But though we know as organizer, we know that the number is actually not a lot. The space is actually very little. So it's what we expect, and the numbers is slightly more than what we expect. So that's good. And then the cran space actually shows very good like portfolio for the events if you want to pitch to do some more from the venues.
This is so behind the scenes kind of like organizer like brain thinking kind of thing. But
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
like it absolutely. I think it's worth noting that I think like at least from what you say, it's worth noting that like yes, if you look at the grand scheme of events these days,
Yeah, correct.
like the total hit count or the total attendee count is not, you know, the thousands and thousands that you might think they should have and stuff like that. Like it's
Yes,
not
correct.
that grand. But it was certainly more than what you guys expected, and you know, and basically from an organizational, like internal organizational standpoint, it's pretty much a success. I think it's fair to say that, right? Like it's more or less a success.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
The bar is set pretty low, but it was still a success. I think that's the fair way of looking at it.
Yep.
So, yeah. And I think from there, like, oh, okay. Now, before I go into the next one, I want to ask you one quick thing. You mentioned earlier about how the event had a lot of animal puns, right?
Yeah.
I have to ask you, like, was there a pun in 2014? Because I don't remember a pun in 2014.
I can't remember. It's 2014, dude.
So the reason why I
It's
asked
10 years
this,
ago. I
That's
can't remember
fair.
what I did yesterday.
that's fair. I only ask because I went online and I tried to look for one and I couldn't find one. So I had I'm only asking very specifically because as far as the official records that I can track, and if anyone sees anything, please, link it up in the comments. I want to know if there's anything earlier than this, but this was the first pun that I found, and it's not technically even a pun. It's a pop culture reference. It's a pop culture reference.
Yes.
It's not a pun. Yeah. So this is the first record of us playing into sort of like wordplay references, reference humor and stuff like that I know that's on CAFKL, right? Extra asterisk at some level, I think this has reached like meme level stuff already. Like basically it's in the public domain because it's used so often already. Arnold Schwarzenegger, please do not come after this. For something that's more than 10 years old.
Yeah.
But yes,
A lot of people don't nowadays I don't think people will know who is he actually. And why is he saying this?
Oh god.
Yeah. People don't even know Star Wars, my gosh.
Oh no, they don't.
Yeah. Even though Star Wars is an IP that they keep showing up nowadays. Kids nowadays don't know.
Right, but one, like you're very much hitting the whole premise of this chat, like this whole stream, right? Right on the head, because when we were growing up, you're talking about going through your Sentai phases and all that kind of stuff. Like finding all the stuff, like all these geek stuff, right? It's really, really hard back in the days when we were younger.
Yes,
I mean,
correct.
not to go back into that period and everything, like the beginning of this chat, right? But like it was so difficult to just find a comic. I was actually very surprised, by the way, that you didn't say anything about like any influence about like from Feng Wan and anything else like that.
Oh, that's because I don't read Hong Kong comics.
See, right? So I mean, look, everyone has their thing.
But it's memang during my time, so
yeah, but
really during my time.
Right, but it speaks to how the environment that you were growing up with, right?
Yes.
For me, I had a small fair share of Hong Kong comics because they were the bigger publication on that was hung up in stores. Like when you go to a mama place, like all the Indian like Gunting Rambut places and stuff like that, right? All the barber places and stuff.
Yes,
like
even the Malay version.
Right, exactly.
It was Malay fans are actually more than Chinese fans.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting, by the way. Strangely enough, you just confirmed something for me, because fact is, Kazuki, which I also had a segment with before this, her first introduction to geek fandoms, right, was through Hong Kong comics. And through her dad. Her dad was the one who introduced Hong Kong comics to her. So her first contact, right, with like geek related stuff, right, was through Hong Kong comics, which is something I completely did not expect. Yeah, fun fact.
Yeah,
so
did not expect, but not surprising it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if you're interested, go and check out her stream, like her chat with me. It's a separate video. Yep. But yeah. Yeah, but we are like, this whole thing, it really is a simple fact that it's easy for us to take for granted with like internet and everything. It's so easy for us to take for granted like how difficult it used to be to find all this content that that got us really into this stuff. So yeah. it is very sad that Arnold Schwarzenegger does not survive. Like this joke did not survive. I'm very disappointed that this joke has not survived.
Well, that's something that you would expect.
All right. So yeah, just to share a little bit extra, like this was actually the venue for that year. Which was
Oh, I can't remember this at all.
yeah, I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's at Chiras Maluri, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. There's a is it a Jusco? Is it called a Jusco back then? Is it no longer a Jusco anymore? I don't remember what it's called now.
Aeon.
Is it
No,
Aeon
it's
now?
not Aeon.
It's all Aeons now, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's not. It's called Aeon.
So this was where the second CAFKL was organized. I do want to ask a little bit on this one. So like Munara PGRM, right?
Yep.
So I have to ask a little bit this one. Now, I think at this point there's approximately about, I'm just roughly counting here, by the way, 17 50 booths or so, 50 60 booths or so. That looks about right.
Yeah.
20 10 roughly about, okay, yeah, about 50 60 booths or so. Like, how has the scene grown since this point?
A lot bigger now. A lot more artists. A lot more established artists. A lot more artists that doing booth full time. So full time, yes, correct. So yeah, it has been a long way actually.
What do you think has like really sort of changed since this beginning point? And do you think like CAFKL has sort of played a role in that evolution?
Hey, I don't think so, Kwa. Not so white I think.
It's a bit hard to track, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, how do you track that CAFKL actually make
influence, right?
Difference? Yeah. And I don't dare to say that actually.
I mean, look, I'm
I mean,
asking.
yes, probably CAFKL a bit difficult to say. Yeah, it's too small to say.
A bit harder to say, lah.
Yeah.
I think it's on a very personal note. Like I do acknowledge, like, this is one thing that I definitely appreciate about how you approach this. Like there's a certain level of humility and honesty about it, right? The CAFKL as a platform is still growing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And as you said, like the number of booths has grown tremendously, and we'll get into some of that later because I do have like this year's layout saved up as well. But this is something that I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted right now because Pin is in the chat, and for those who don't know,
hi.
yeah, and for those who don't know, like Pin is one of the founders for Comic Fiesta, and I'm just super distracted right now suddenly.
Yeah.
I never realized how easily influenced by chat I can be.
You should. That's the point of live stream.
It is. I try to. Anyways, hi Pin. But yes, but yeah, coming back, like we'll go into the number of booths and the growth of that a little bit after this. I do want to ask also though, like when you said about like a lot of people who are doing full-time boothing and things like that, do you think, like, while you've said that CAFKL is not like a major contributor, there's no way to really measure the contribution of CAFKL in that scene, and sort of like how it's helped how it's helped or hasn't helped in making it more established or more sustainable for these people? Do you think that like CAFKL and Comic Fiesta in particular, these two giant events, right? These two, Comic Fiesta and its sister events, right? Have sort of normalized boothing in such a way that more and more events are trying to do it simply because, oh yeah, hey, it's something that they can do, like made people more aware of something, what they can do, and then basically create more platforms, and that has sort of expanded and created more platforms for these artists to, like, you know, make a living and things like that. you think
Yeah,
that
actually, it does. I believe it does. Especially, it kind of like inspired more, not just artists themselves, inspire the organizers to create more platform for indie market as well. So there are actually much more. I think at least I can say that we did play a role in inspiring others. So people like come in and watch, hey, this sounds interesting. This looks interesting. I feel where I belong here. So maybe I can create something like, let's say, for pottery. So I create a pottery event or something like that. Yeah. So got this kind of influence. I heard, at least within my friend circles, I heard something like that before.
That's nice to know.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen a number of I mean, I not to over credit CF or anything else like that, but I do think that like for in some cases, like just watching people gather like this eventually just makes people want to gather more and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, once again, a little distracted. Need to be able to pull myself back. But anyways, coming back. Yes. Okay. Let's do this is back in 2015. 2016. I'm gonna pull up 2016. Sorry, I'm gonna pull up 2016's one. 2016's layout. Just to show something a little interesting. Where like, oh god, like I don't know how to put this, but like I do feel that this was the this felt different to me in 2016. I can't explain exactly how, but Makespace as an event certainly felt different to me at that time. I think in part also because I personally wasn't as involved with CAFKL by that point already. Like after the second year especially, I was less and less involved with CAFKL. How was this CAFKL for you in particular? Like, do you remember anything that stood out for it? Yeah.
This was where's the venue for this? Can you read that? I can't really see the.
Quill City.
It's Quill City. Oh, that one. Yeah. I remember that one time we featured a lot of local artists, very good local artists. And we actually have Astro come and do what do you call it? A documentary at the place also, actually. It's not mistaken.
Okay. Is the documentary online somewhere? Can we find it online somewhere?
I don't think so. I think the documentary only featured one of the artists boothing there.
Oh.
So it doesn't feature any other people.
Sorry.
Other people.
Sorry, wrong year.
Yeah, wrong year, that one.
Oh shit, I don't actually have it. Okay. Sorry.
You don't have
Actually, I don't have the full overview for 2016.
Yeah.
My mistake. Yeah. Oh. But I'm man, I think like 2016 for me was simultaneously the most, like, I have the weirdest impression of, and yet I like my memory of it is the least clear for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like if people were to ask me like, oh, what was special about 2016, right? I actually cannot remember. Like I can't tell you anything special about 2016. But at the same time, right, it was the one that if you asked me to point at one, I would somehow point to you at 2016. I don't understand why.
Maybe because it's at a very, very nice underground venue. It feels more like
it feels more like a grungy, like artsy underground shows and stuff like that. Yeah. It's like one of those like, oh yeah, we're like somebody's gonna do a bunch of graffiti stuff and like, you know, and we're all gonna do like a bunch of super artsy stuff, right?
Yeah, it's one of the most dusty CAFKL ever.
Right. That one I remember. Like it was bare cement floors.
Yes.
Yeah, it was bare cement floors. Yeah, but okay, correct me if I'm wrong though. I think this was also the one that they had like you guys had like the least, like there was more open space. This was one where it had a little bit more open space and it didn't feel as like hot and congested.
It's still hot and congested.
Is it?
I remember it's still hot and congested.
Okay.
I remember.
Of course. All right. Now we're gonna go into CAFKL 4, and now you were mentioning about puns earlier. This was the first pun that I can backtrack to.
Okay.
And this was the one
Probably
where,
this is the year that we start using puns.
Yeah. So
The fourth year.
that's the fourth one in 2017. Dewan Bunga Raya, Campbell Complex. I was like really hands off at this point. Like I was not involved in this at this point. But yes, this was the one that it had like Lama Tak Jumpa and all that kind of stuff. And this was the same one where like you can see the number of like booths that just, I don't know, it felt like there's a lot more than before.
Not really. It should be about the same also.
Certainly felt
Should be. It doesn't increase by a lot also.
But
The booth counts.
Right. But I remember this venue had its own weirder problems because I remember it was a staircase up, right?
Yes, correct. There is.
Yeah, because I remember when there were some concerns over accessibility, and
Yeah, correct. You can't really see the place on. You have to go through a weird place. That more.
But there is something that I think is kind of cool. By the way, for anyone who was wondering, like this was what I was showing earlier on screen. Oh, sorry. What am I doing?
This forward.
Right. This is for. This is what I was earlier showing on screen, and this was all the guests that were there.
Yep.
Same one for that one. I'm sorry. I just in case I accidentally made this mistake. This was what I was talking about as far as the puns were concerned. This was the first pun that was done for CAFKL that I could backtrack to.
Yep.
Yeah. A little messy, partially because I think I accidentally pressed the wrong button just now. Anyway, okay. So this is one thing I want to bring up. I have this picture here from CAFKL once again. Oh, let me see what I can't zoom out. This is annoying. I need to do something about this. Anyway. The reason why I want to bring this up is because I think this is kind of interesting. I can't think of too many events, right, that would actively have live drawing sessions.
Yeah. CAFKL, I think, at least as far as I know, CAFKL is the only one.
Was this the first one that had it?
No, I don't think so.
Was it?
I think we had it earlier also. The live drawing sessions.
I can tell you that it wasn't there for 2014.
Oh, it's not there in 2014.
I know it's not there in 2014.
I can't really remember. But I remember it was a very, very early days.
Right.
I cannot remember when.
Okay, look, and if somebody comes up to me and says that no, Jared, you're completely wrong. It was there on 2014. I will completely concede because I will swear that my memory is not as good.
Yeah.
Like if you show me pictures of it, I will. No, you know, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I bring this up because I think it's really unique. For those who are not familiar with the art, like being an illustrator and all that, like live drawing is something that you sort of need to get good at. It is kind of a skill that you have to learn. And I don't know. I find there's something about drawing it, like just practicing on your own. But I think what CAFKL brings when it comes to this in particular experience, to be something unique, like getting a model in so that you can draw with a whole bunch of other people together. I think that experience is very different and unique. You still remember like what sparked CAFKL to actually start doing this?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you still remember like what sparked CAFKL to start doing this?
I can't remember what sparked us to do, but it was always in our mind to do this related thing to this. Actually, in fact, after CAFKL, we did have a few sessions in CFHQ live drawing also. So I think it has been something that we wanted to do all the time now, because it's blood inside us. So we want to feel. It's fun to draw together. It's fun to have like reference, like see how other people draw. Maybe you get some inspirations from other people's technique, and then actually it encourages more drawing desire when you drawing together with other people as well.
On that note, like a long time ago, CF used to organize art jams, or people used to organize art jams in on the CF forums. I think that's something that's sort of like gone the way of the dodo these days, but
Yes, correct.
I guess that experience is still here right now in CAFKL.
Yep. Live art jam.
Yeah, man. I do have a lot of pictures from the various years of these kind of like live drawing sessions. I'll share them as we go along. I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, I don't know where you get your models from, but like they're really, really interesting choices. Like, I think the choices are very interesting and diverse. Whoever's organizing it, like, if you're watching this, like, kudos, man. All right, let's look into CAFKL 5 real quick. I'm going to skip a couple of years after this, by the way, but I do want to. But to be fair, there isn't that many CAFKLs. We're already halfway there. Like this year is CAFKL 8, right?
Yep, correct.
Yeah. So
the fact can't be 10 years. It's just 8. Yeah, 10 years is because of the 2 years without any events.
You forget.
2-3 years without any events.
You forget.
Yeah, everyone forget about the missing years of pandemic.
Yeah, everyone trauma already. Everyone don't want to remember.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, let's move on. This is year 2 of the puns.
Yeah, this is when everyone remember this.
Correct. Yep. So this is the one. Once again, I think this is the point where everyone starts imagining that you've always started having puns.
Yeah, correct. This is where the puns striking impressions. Yeah.
Right. Like everyone's like, oh yeah. Like, oh, you guys are doing this. This is the trend that started it all, right? Right. Okay. So this was the year that I could. This is 2018, and this was the year that that you guys did something that that most people didn't know that was. I think it was there from day one, which was you guys started posting your feedback comics.
Oh yeah, that was since first event. Yeah, we have been doing it.
So so this is very interesting because CAFKL, because everyone who booths at CAFKL is an artist.
Yeah.
What happened was that CAFKL, the guys actually went an extra mile and asked that, hey, could you draw a comic for us as your feedback?
Yeah.
And rather than to write a feedback form and stuff like that, which is kind of like, you know, that kind of thing, like they asked them to like draw a feedback thing, and some of them got scanned and posted up. Like I think the year 1, year 2 don't have it. I only could find up to like 2018, like from 2018. So I'm going to share some here. Keep in mind, I'm not trying to be nice. So I intentionally, because look, as I was saying earlier during the stream, right? Like me and Nerv, we both have a history of the event. I don't want to sound too nice, so I intentionally found ones where there are people complaining than anything else.
Yeah, go ahead. But the complaints are so hilarious usually.
Yeah. So this is correct. So this is from 2018. I just want to share some. You can find, by the way, all these are on Facebook, right? So you can find it on Facebook. You just need to find the link. It's linked up in the description below. If you want, check out the photos there. You can find, like, just scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll find these, right? So some people in the chat was talking about how like CAFKL 1, which was 2014, was really, really hot.
Yeah.
CAFKL like 5 became the opposite, which is it's really, really cool. There are people like that. You have people who are complaining about RIP wallets, which I think coming from an event organizer, that's not a bad thing. Like as an organizer, that's a good thing, right?
Yep, that's a good thing. Bad for people, good for organizer.
We had people. This was telling. Like there are people who were like, was Hari Raya around this time? I can't remember anymore, but like,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, people like sharing about Hari Raya stuff. Yeah. This was, by the way, this was one thing that I kind of selected because this was one of the more interesting, slightly more balanced feedback kind of thing, where people are actually complaining about how communication is a problem, and like people weren't aware of some of the amenities that was being provided and stuff like that.
Yep.
Is that still a problem sometimes for you guys? Like, do you think that that's still a general problem for most organizers and stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I brought up this one in particular. This is just simple and cute.
Yep. There are a lot of very, very cute feedbacks. So I enjoy a lot of reading feedbacks. One of the things that I look forward is their feedback forms. Usually I will just sit behind there and just read immediately firsthand when they submitted their forms.
That's fantastic.
And Bodo.
All right. Okay. So moving on to next year. We're talking about 2019. And once again, so this is where the pattern really starts, right? Like, this is year 3 of you guys doing puns.
Yeah. This is where the puns continue.
Yes. And then following from there, now here's the question I want to check in on, because so this was the first one I could find where you guys did a full overview of like everyone who's going to be around, like every like face that's just going to be around and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't find one before this, by the way. Was there a particular, like, the ones before this were always like, oh, the standard promo ones, the individual promo ones? There's never a full conference one, and this was like the first like sort of broad like, oh yeah, everybody that is there irregardless of what they're doing and stuff like that.
Okay.
What sort of spurred this one in particular, and like was 28, like, this is for 2019, was it somewhat of a special one for you guys in any way?
I think we start using Facebook ads from this time.
Right.
So it's better to like consolidate everything into one pictures and just blast that one picture.
Right. So I think
that was the intention. I remember. Yeah, if I wasn't wrong.
All right. So some of these visuals were very explicitly done for marketing purposes to be like consolidated to help communication and stuff like that.
Yes.
Cool. There's a number of people here, like, as far as I'm concerned, were like the OGs of Comic Fiesta and all that stuff as well. And a lot of them have obviously grown since then. Has the content for CAFKL actually evolved much from like 2019? Because we've talked about like since 2014 to at this point 2019, which is like 5 years down the road, right?
Yeah.
By 2019, was there much evolution in terms of the content, the people that are visiting, and all that kind of stuff?
In terms of evolutions, I would say the biggest and obvious one would be the booth artists, and then we shifting our focus into the people who booth. And then, of course, we still want a very good featured content that we put on our stage. But we still think that the ones that benefit the attendees most is from those who booth there. Right. So that's why we push also die also increase the amount. And then we make sure that that people, we trying to like get people that can really inspire others.
Right.
So throughout the years, actually it works out. So because of we, like, artists, they say you see other people do it, I say, maybe I'll do it next year. So this kind of effects just keep snowballing until this year, and then we finally see a lot of very good artists coming out and then join CAFKL. for the first time, and I say, "Oh, legendary appear in CAFKL this year." So
Right. So what you're saying is like after 5 years doing CAFKL, you shifted your focus to highlighting those who are in attendance, basically saying, "Oh,
yeah,
hey, if we're going to, instead of trying to invite just guests for guests' sake, you actively said, hey, get a booth, and we're going to highlight you if you're a booth or booth holder and stuff like that."
not in that sense, but. Not in that sense in terms of marketing, because we still separate the featured artist and the boother. So what I mean just now was we trying, like we doing in background organically,
Mm.
and then we trying to encourage artists to join, and then good artists to be booth there, and yeah. Then we try to feature, of course, whoever that we feature is we have something to do with them, not just boothing.
Mm.
So beside boothing, they will have like some sharing sessions as well,
Right.
like demo, and then like forums, like discussions and stuff.
Right. Panelists
So
and things
this
like
year,
that.
yeah, panels. This year you see not this year, the CAFKL 6, you see that there are so many featured artists there.
Right.
It's because of their sessions of forums where like a few artists discuss with a few artists over there.
Okay. So it basically the
Sorry?
content basically the content grows increasingly more more conference like and more
Yes,
industry
correct.
centric over time.
Yes, correct.
なるほどね。
That's why it's more leaning towards what we initially wanted, the networking. We wanted the networking to start happening.
Sorry, the wheels in my head are turning a little bit, so if it falls silent a little bit, please understand a little bit. God. There was something I wanted to ask a little bit about, but oh, all right. I also probably should want to mention real quick as well, because you were mentioning about featuring artists and all that. CAFKL is also one of the few events that I know of from day one where you guys like posted all like basically your booth owners' logos are actually posted on Facebook from day one. I'm not,
Yeah,
not literally from
correct.
day one. I mean like from event one, you guys have like featured all of them onto the Facebook page and all that.
Yes, correct.
Yep. So like you actually, for anyone who's interested in the history of the event, you can actually go and check out like the participating booths and like how many years they've been there. It's interesting if you're interested in the data.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
but it is something that I think is really interesting. And if anything was going to be, I think proof to CAFKL's sort of creator-centric approach, right? It really is the simple idea that hey, we're going to be putting up everybody right there with all our our sock meds and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about moving forward into 2020. Now 2020 became the last pre-COVID event.
Yeah.
I want to bring up is this 2020? No, there isn't.
There's a online CAFKL.
Right.
That's
So
one.
so
Yeah.
20 actually sorry, let me correct that. There wasn't even a 2020. There was only 2019, and then 2020 itself was
Yeah.
postponed because 2020 was postponed to 2021. That was CAFKL
Yes,
7. That would have been called CAFKL 7. Oh, sorry. Some reason it's not fitting in the window. Okay, here we go. There we go. So this wasn't a like 2020 didn't happen, and there was CAFKL online, and the only weird thing is yes,
It's not just postponed to 2021, and postponed to 2022. CAFKL 7 happened in 2022.
right. So does the online version, which I'm sharing right now, right on screen,
Yeah.
does the online version not count? This is a horrible way of putting it, by the way. Does it
Yeah,
not
we
count?
had a discussion of this. No, yeah, we don't think it counts.
I
Yeah,
I have
it
to
lost
ask.
in our memory. The online event doesn't happen.
I have to ask then, like, how was the online one? Because I have no recollection about it. Please walk me through the story of the online one. What brought it about? How was it? How was the reception?
It was a night. It was a nightmare. Yes, the response was decent, I would say. And then the market was happening, but because the market, it's something like we're trying to do online shop.
Mm,
So all the artists have to mail their stuff over to our HQ.
right.
So we consolidate them, and then we listed all these items up on our online store.
Right.
Then whoever purchased, then we mail them over. Then yeah, one by one, every single item's really really nightmare. Logistic nightmare for us. It's scary. It's so scary.
Okay, like so.
We hope that actually there are some ideas that come out and say, why don't we host it on Shopee? then the artists themselves, they had to ship their stuff over. Then we had to ask every single one of them to open open a Shopee shop.
I
So yeah, it's a logistic nightmare. This one.
like I think in 2020 during COVID, like practically every event organizer was fiddling around with the idea of like either online events
Online
or
events,
hybrid
yes.
events and things like
Yeah.
that. I suppose that it's great that CAFKL, in order to try and maintain the momentum, never really gave up. Basically, said like we're just gonna try that kind of thing.
Yeah, we just try, and then we realized that it's not working. Especially the content, the streaming contents. We realized that it's very different.
Mm,
It's totally different thing. If you do events online and then you want to stream the events,
Right.
technically you are doing broadcasting instead of like running offline events. It's
Right.
totally different. The strategies are different. The marketings are different.
Right.
Even the audience is different. Yeah.
That's fair. That's very, very fair. I definitely think like for someone to sit down for like 2 hours like this, right? By the way, we've passed the 2 hour mark already, in case you didn't notice. Yeah.
Yay.
So yeah, for someone to sit down for like a 2 hour long like chat and stuff like that, it definitely isn't for everyone. But for everyone who does, like we're definitely appreciative of everyone here, aren't we? Alright, but yeah, as you said, like the audience is very, very different. I suppose from that experience, did it sort of did it sort of highlight the kind of like was did it sort of show that like what kind of crowd that CAFKL really had? Like if CAFKL more of a physical like people kind of thing, or how was it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Is CAFKL more of a physical like is the main audience for CAFKL more of a for like physical events, or is it like
Yes, it was. I would say that if you attend CAFKL, you will feel the difference in the vibe and the atmosphere. That I would say it recharge the artist energy.
Mm,
Yeah, it's like how to say it's like recent event also actually quite nice. The vibe one is the KL illustration fair.
oh, okay.
Happened quite recent, so it's very nice vibes. Also, it's different from CAFKL. It's focused more on like illustrations,
Mm.
but it gives me the quite similar vibes for CAFKL. Yeah, you go there, you feel like you go home and then you can start drawing already.
That's fantastic.
That kind of feeling.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because like sometimes I go to events and stuff like that. You see what people come up with, you get inspired, and I think when inspiration hits you, you just like, oh, I just want to do this shit.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
guess
online CAFKL is a thing. What's the thing?
I guess in that case, like the online thing, either because of like the organize, like because it's the first time for you guys handling it and all that kind of stuff, like it didn't hit its mark entirely as well as it could have, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard to say. For online event, it's considered one of the more successful online events still, but it's not worth the, as in like the effort that required to put in.
Right.
It's I would say the outcome is a little bit
underwhelming.
The correct word should be say that the structure is not scalable.
Understood. Meaning that basically you just
It
can't
means
grow as
that
big.
you need like enormous amount of resource to put in to make this work. If you want to scale it even slightly more also.
Understood. But
so it doesn't work that.
Okay, on that note though, I'm a little curious on that one then. Because it would seem to anyone else that like having a non-physical base kind of thing would like you basically your limitations would be more to do with like, oh, how many people actually wants to come and take a look, right? Like, is that not the case?
Yeah, you put it that way, maybe that's the case.
Okay. Like, I mean, I'm obviously looking purely as like how many people can consume the content like this, right? Like one of the big reasons why I'm on YouTube right now as opposed to Twitch or anywhere else, it's so that, hey, if you're not watching with us here live and all that kind of stuff, we can always check it out another time, you know, whenever you're more free and stuff like that. You just don't get the benefits of interacting with, you know, hey, cool people like Nerv here with me.
Yeah. That's definitely the thing, right? Over the very, very exclusive to physical events.
Exactly. So, but I like, speaking for me personally, I do like physical events. I think they have a very big room, like in my heart at least. But I'll be honest, like there's a lot of events that I don't go to nowadays, partially because the crowd management is absolutely shite. Like their crowd management is so bad that like I just don't like going at all. Because like once you
there's a sweet zone.
Huh? Sorry?
There's a sweet zone that the density has to be just right nice. Yeah.
There is. There's a lot of discussion to be had over like how this can be handled, but I just definitely avoid so many events because I've seen so many event organizers who don't bother with managing their crowds properly, and as a result,
that's because of you can take good photos.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take good photos. You can get good sponsors from that photos. Then you can like. No, not gonna name events.
Yeah, I'm just not going. I'm going to be really nice about it today because today's guest of honor is Nerv. I don't want to put him in the spot where I start naming events. Who does horrible? Like I don't want to name and shame people like when Nerv is around.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now here's the big question. Then here's the next one. Let's talk about 2023 now. Now here's the thing, right? Like Nerv, like so earlier you once again I keep bringing this back because the fact is a pattern makes an impression and that becomes sort of like the brand for the event, right? Now, so here's my big question: where's the pun in 2023?
There should be a pun, but I don't know where is it. I remember there is
because I tried to look for it. And I hope someone can link it in the comments if they can find it. Nerv, feel free to do so if you can find it.
Are you looking at the puns? Don't look at the puns, yeah.
But I'm looking for patterns. I know it's not a main thing. I'm looking for patterns, and I hate it when the pattern gets broken for no reason. Like this is a freaking combo breaker, and it annoyed the crap out of me. Right?
Maybe run out of idea that time.
Yes. So this was the years that like they had Comic Worm, Comic on the Spot. Like this was one of those kind of this was the first promo that I could see where it's a square promo with all the highlights here. Similarly, I just have one sorry. For the most part, I think the content hasn't like while the focus of the content has sort of changed, like you were saying, like as you were saying since 2019. The content, the actual content itself, the actual activities that you do doesn't feel like it's really changed over the years. Like I think like Comic Worm's been there from day one, which we didn't talk about, by the way. I want to talk about it a little bit afterwards.
Okay.
Comic on the spot sounds a little bit new, but I think is this something that was introduced much later? Because I wasn't too familiar with that myself.
Mm-hmm.
Is comic on the spot something introduced like a little bit later, or?
No, not really. It's since then.
Hmm. All right. So like because I
It's
really don't, I don't remember it
been
being
there
there.
from day one, actually.
It's been there from day one.
Yeah, it's been there from
Oh,
day one.
okay. Because I
But
thought
I'm not sure if you call the comic on the spot or not. I'm not sure.
okay.
Maybe it calls something different. Yeah.
Right. The Speed Painter Showdown is something I think was definitely a lot newer.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk? Let's talk about that one a little bit, just real quick, because I think stamp rallies and live drawings are pretty standard in one way or another. But I'm very curious.
Mm.
Like Speed Painter Showdown, can you walk me through, like what
Oh, you
what brought it about?
never seen one before?
I've seen one, but for the benefit of anyone who's listening who's never seen one, I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay. So basically, it's like two artists. They were given a theme on the spot, or keywords on the spot, randomly, it depends. So they have to draw something immediately in maybe, I'm not sure what's the time they given. Last time I remember was 60 seconds. 60 seconds to 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I forgot already. So they had to draw something, then the audience on the spot will vote who will win immediately.
Oh, okay. So how's the voting done? Is it through like paddles, raise hand only?
Just raise hand. Just raise hand only. Very quickly, a very simple and fun little game to encourage people just try.
Doodle as quickly as possible.
Yeah, just doodle. Yes, correct.
Is there a prize for this, or is this just like come in and like have fun kind of thing?
We have small little dog gifts, like badges and souvenirs for
Okay.
joining.
All right. So you
For
join,
winner,
you
I think
automatically get.
winning is.
Oh,
Well, last time we did try the ladder. Actually, it's more fun actually.
Oh, okay.
It's ladder. Basically, you have to like beat everybody to win. I think the prize was digital tablet,
Wow.
but that required the person stay there like
The whole day, right?
until whole 2 days.
Right.
So we realized that is not really that. The entry bar is so much more higher already.
Right. Yeah, I think that actually goes into a little bit of why like CF has sort of like stepped away from doing on-site art competitions as well. Because
Yes, correct.
like I mean, even when I was helping out with CF, we sort of came to the consensus that, hey, you're coming for the convention, let's not have you stay in a corner somewhere and like draw the whole day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Comic Worm then, because Comic Worm I think is something that's a little bit more unique. This has actually been something that's been on Comic Fiesta, CAFKL since day one. But could you talk about the inspiration for it and what do people do and stuff like that? Oh, sorry. Are you thinking?
Can you repeat that?
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about Comic Worm? What was the inspiration for it, and like what do people do for Comic Worm and all that kind of stuff? Like, what is Comic Worm specifically?
Basically, we draw a head for the comic. We start like one panel that, let's say, some creature is doing something.
Right.
So whoever draw next have to continue the stories. So that's the worm thing.
Right. So
So
everyone's
that's
like, is it one panel per person? Is it
one panel per person. Yes, correct.
is it always the same like panel shape kind of thing?
I think so. Yes, correct. They can draw more than the panel in that sheet, but they were given
okay.
a piece of paper. Yes, correct.
So you're getting
So
a piece
they
of
have to
paper.
do the story.
Right. So you have your first panel that you guys prepare. Then there is a sheet of paper that you give people if you want to contribute. You can contribute to the worm by like, hey, here's a piece of paper, draw something, and then like we'll put it up. And you can break that sheet up into many different panels if you want to. Is that how it
Yes,
works?
correct.
All
Yeah.
right.
Correct. Of course, we will encourage them not to break down too much.
Get too stylized, it becomes really difficult to follow up, right?
Yes, correct.
Cool. Anyways, okay, so yeah, I think more or less from there that was 2023. Actually, there is one thing I want to bring back up. Sorry, let me just bring this back up. There is a small thing that I've noticed. Now, back in 2019, you were mentioning that how the focus of the events have sort of tilted more towards like focusing on the artists that are there, right? Now, 2023, like I've noticed that there is a small, I mean, the one that stood out for me is at least the woke salaryman because he is Singaporean, and is this sort of the point in which CAFKL starts looking more regional, or is there a shift in how CAFKL organizes itself at this point?
Not really per se. We usually we try whatever available to us, and then we try to contact at that time. So let's say at this time, so we are closer to the Japanese, so we try to get the Japanese first. So once we have the slot full, so we will stop looking for others more, so that it doesn't like pack up the event a little bit too much. So recent years, then we realized that we have good connections to Singapore artists, and then we get to know them already, so we try to invite them over. So yeah, this is what happened as well.
Okay, so I think sorry, yes, someone was commenting on this one earlier in the comments section, and I think I got called out on it. So I am you. There is a pun. There is a pun for 2023. The only problem with it is that there is no animal drawing with the logo, and I think that's why I kind of missed it. So you can see it here.
Okay.
Where there is obviously I am coming back kind of thing, and the only problem was
maybe you should look at the merchandise. The merchandise should have animals.
Right.
Maybe it's not featured in the announcement, probably.
Right. Because it's not featured in the announcement, it kind of like I kind of missed it. Because the fact is, and this is really my fault, and I apologize for this. Because if you look at this is obviously I am, right?
Yes, correct.
This is obviously I am, right? I
am on the coming back, yeah, on the goat's back, yeah.
Is there one I am with on the goat's back? I don't see one. There must be someone there somewhere. So clearly it's my error.
The year before was the kambing, then this year is the ayam, so yeah.
Yeah. So like I guess the kambing like you know turn into mutton or something like at this point.
Right. Yep.
So we're well past the 2 hour mark. Let's draw this to a close because we're talking about CAFKL right now, and tomorrow's actually show day. Tomorrow, this is day 0. Tomorrow is day 1. Do you have anything off the top of your head that like there's absolutely stuff that people should be looking forward to tomorrow that you are excited for? Let's talk about you yourself. That you yourself are excited for tomorrow and this weekend.
Okay. A lot of people suddenly come out from their cave, start doing their personal work. For one is Alan Kwa. He's releasing his first first original comic.
Wow.
And then about his family. Then
Nice.
As a person that this year I just got a daughter this year, so I'm more interested in family content right now. Yeah. So another artist that come out from their suddenly come out, so I'm surprised. So it's one of them is Z. So Z was he's still one of the very legendary comic artists. So he got he's not featured, but he's inside one of the booth. And then he is releasing his serialized work from home dad comic. He has been publishing on his Facebook, but this time he printed into books. So I wanted to support that also.
That's fantastic.
And then one of the very, very senior veteran comic artists called Siming. He was one of the Angoulême Comic Festival's resident. So resident means they invite him to stay there and make comics. So that's called residence. That's like a fate itself. If you got invited, so
right.
Yeah, he's here also, and then he got his own original comic also. Yeah, so
Wow.
I'm looking forward to all these hidden gems. And Fishball is here also.
Yay.
She's selling her what's the suddenly cannot remember the little dog's name.
Oh god, I suddenly can't remember it either. Oh my god, what's wrong with me?
Cookie? Is it Cookie? No, it's not Cookie.
It's not Cookie. I'm quite sure is it? Yeah, it's some baked good, right? It's some biscuit. It's biscuit. I think it's biscuit. I think it's biscuit.
Too old already.
Is it biscuit? Is it biscuit? Please tell me it's biscuit.
Biscuit. Is it
It is
biscuit?
biscuit, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's biscuit. Yes, correct. Biscuit. Yeah.
All right.
Biscuit.
But yes, the event is at Fahrenheit 88 in KL this weekend. So if anyone wants to go and check it out, there are links to their Facebook page and Instagram in the description below. So if anybody wants to check it out, please go and check it out. I'm stuck in Singapore right now, so I can't make it. There's definitely it's so nice to hear that people like Alan Kwa and Zid and all that are like starting up their own personal projects.
Yeah.
I mean seriously, those who are at all familiar with Alan Kwa, you would know that Alan Kwa is like he is known for doing Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Does he do DC as well? He does Marvel and DC together, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, exactly. There's also on a side note, there's like a surprising number of Malaysian artists that do Marvel and DC stuff.
A lot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of them are going to be there, but like it's amazing that Alan's going to be there, and like it's his return to the event after 10 years.
Yep.
Give me a quick second. I want to bring up the key image for the passport image for the event. I just need a minute because I did, for some reason I didn't save this. This is so silly, but for some reason I didn't save this. Yeah, let me just quickly bring that up. So for anyone who's looking, here's the info for this weekend. Why is it a owl again? What's the pun this year?
I can't remember. Oh, really?
It's not Owl Be Back, right?
I think so. No. It's not Owl Be Back.
It's not Owl Be Back, right?
I forgot what's the pun. Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
Yeah, there is a pun. You see it on the t-shirts. You see it on the t-shirt.
Because so the one on the banner still says "I am coming back."
Yeah.
And it's well, I mean, I mean if it works, it works, I guess. Yeah, like I mean if it works, right? Yeah. Well, anyways, okay. It's getting late. I really should end it. Nerv, are you going to be attending the event yourself?
I wish I can. I hope I can. I'll try to arrange my time. Yeah, because really depend on the condition of my baby and the condition of my father. So yeah.
Understood. Which is why I'm really appreciative of your time here tonight. I'm gonna before we end, I do have I do have one question for you from Raz. So we're just gonna end on this note. I just want to ask this very important question before we go off. Have you ever thought of bringing your Gendo Ikari cosplay back?
No.
You can't.
It's too tiring.
You can't. Yeah, because you have a daughter now, right? You can't exactly go like, hey, get in the mech.
So
yeah, you have a daughter named Ray.
Yeah, my daughter name's Ray.
Yes, so it's not a Shinji case, and you can't stuff him into a mecha. Get into the mecha, Shinji. Get into the.
I don't want Shinji too useless, really.
Yeah, I know, right?
If I got a son, then I would never name him Shinji. Yeah.
Would you actually do it? Seriously?
No, I wouldn't. Maybe Karu.
Oh God.
Yeah, get into Mecha Ray. Yeah, I will say that. Definitely say that.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that's it for us tonight. Thank you guys, everyone, for like joining us for as long as you have. Thank you, Nerv, for like sparing the time. I know it's really tough. We've actually I just want to put it out there. Like as I said for the start of the stream, Nerf and I are pretty close. I've been wanting to do this with him for the longest amount of time. I started this project in January, and it's been 6 months, and it's only through after 6 months that I've actually managed to get his time to do this, because life deals you very interesting cards, and it's been a rough one.
Yep.
So yeah, so so thank you very much, Nerf, for taking the time. Despite everything that's been going on, thank you very much for sharing your stories.
Yep. Walking down the memory lane.
Yeah. We'll the next one, it's a pleasure. We'll definitely need to take a time to walk through your CF stories someday.
Oh, that's a long story.
Let's try and find another time.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. For those who are looking forward to the next session of Geeks at Sea, I'm actually having a special one next time, but it's something a little bit more different from the usuals. Give me a quick second. I just need to check my schedule one more time. Oh no, my schedule's gone. I'll look it up. But it should be, if my memory serves me right, my next one should be with Nick from BuzzPop, actually. Which is something completely different from most of you guys. God dang it. I really should check my schedule. Just give me a quick second, because if I'm wrong, this one is going to be very embarrassing. So let me just get this quickly done. I'm quite sure it should be. Yes, it is. Yeah, see, I'm correct. Memory's not that bad. God damn it. This is what I get for doubting myself. It is with Nick from BuzzPop. Something very, very different for some of you guys, because Nick actually does geek coverage in Malay in KL. So he actually specializes to cater to the Malay-speaking crowd, to cover stuff like movie stuff, pop culture stuff, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so I'm gonna be talking with him. Nick, actually, believe it or not, I actually know Nick longer than I know Nerf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we're not as close, unfortunately. Nerf, I knew Nick since I was in secondary school, and I got to know him when through Magic the Gathering. This is a fun point there, right? So, anyways, there'll be 2 weeks from now. Yeah, so there'll be 2 weeks from now. The next stream, hopefully, if I can get the time, will be next Friday if I can find the time. I really want to get into Hades too, so if I get a chance, it'll be Hades too. All right. So that's all for it.
No, not going to there.
Well, that's it for us for tonight.
Bye. Good night.
Yeah. So thank you everyone who has bothered to join us. Thank you for sticking along as long as you have. You've been wonderful. Love the chat today. Hope to see you guys again soon. Till next time. Bing bong.